All right, welcome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm super excited because in front of me is the one and only Noah Fifita. Noah, thank you so much for joining, man. Really do appreciate it.
Nah, I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, of course. I want to ask you, well, one, let's do a little icebreaker too. We're both in Tucson right now. So I've been wondering, what's coming from Cali, what's one thing that you love about Tucson? And then one thing that you would change if you could?
The change is easy. Definitely the weather. It gets real hot out here a couple months out of the year, and then also wish there was more bodies of water out here. So I know there's no beaches in Arizona, but maybe some lakes or rivers closer to the Tucson area would be cool. And then one thing I do love is coming from California. Obviously it's a big state, a lot of people. So Tucson, it's smaller, but at the same time, it's still a big city, and you kind of have everything that you need here. You're close enough to a big city like Phoenix where you could drive up if you wanted to spend a day over there, and then I like the people over here, and you, I feel like it's a slower pace of life opposed to California, and we're enjoying it.
I agree with that. Definitely the weather. I mean, I love Tucson. The people here love you too, man. I mean, but definitely it gets super hot in the summers if you're not familiar, and you can't just go to the beach on a hot day. So that's one downside. But other than that, I love hearing that. But overall, man, I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are from this past year, right? And the whole season that you had. I mean, I'm sure it was very unexpected, but what are your thoughts now that the dust has settled? Like, how are you feeling about everything that's happened?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's been nice to be able to sit back and kind of reflect. I think during the season, everything's going so fast that you don't really have time to just see the good that you did. So having this week off, ever since the Alamo Bowl, being able to reflect, being able to spend time with family, we had a good year, and I don't think that's something that I would say during the season because you're so locked in and you don't want to become content. But this is a time of year where you could kind of look back and see all the good that we did. So, I mean, we're still not where we want to be. Obviously, uh, we have bigger goals than what we accomplished this year. But at the end of the day, being able to double our win total from last year, being able to um, finish top 15, and then obviously being able to beat a high caliber program like Oklahoma and the Alamo Bowl. It was a great year for our program, and it's time to get back to work.
Absolutely. I love that. I think a good year is an understatement. And where the program has been, it's just been so cool. I want to ask you, and be honest with yourself, do you think that you would be surprised looking at where you are, where the team is now? Like, when you're reflecting on it, like, did you surprise yourself this past season?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody in our program, everybody in our building expected to do big things. Coach Fish and the entire coaching staff have done a great job bringing in not only great players but great people, and that's kind of what we're stressing. We have a good culture that we're building at Arizona, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. But like I said, we had some high expectations going into the year. We expected and demanded a lot out of ourselves, and uh, it was a good year.
I love that. And it paid off 100%. So cool seeing what you guys were able to do this season. And that kind of it makes me think too. I played high school football, and it was all fun for me. I'm sure it was for you too, obviously. But is college football a lot different than high school, or has anything surprised you about playing college football compared to any other level?
Yeah, college is a little different. I didn't think that was going to be the case when I first started up. So I think the biggest difference is the time management, and we're away from family and strict. And now it's really about football. And yeah, school plays a big factor in it. Being able to manage your school and being able to go to class and attend our class sessions and do homework, things like that. But at the end of the day, especially when you're in season, football is a job now, and you're spending 10 to 12 hours at the facility every day, and you're really devoting all of your time, all of your energy towards football. And I don't think that was really the case in high school. Um, in high school, you still had your 6 hour school days before you go to school. Now, before you go to football. Now it's really strictly football and being the best you could be on the field.
Yeah, and I know a lot goes into it. I'm sure a lot more than any of us will see on the outside, right? Like if you show up to a game, that's probably just a little bit of what actually happens, in the program. I'm sure that's pretty safe to say.
Yes, sir, definitely.
But, one of the biggest questions that I had before meeting with you is, I'm sure that it's very stressful. And especially being in your shoes, I bet it's just a crazy season, like looking at it from your perspective. So, do you feel like you've just gone through a wave of emotions of like the stresses or anxieties, of stepping into the role that you have this season? Has it been kind of a building block like that for you personally?
I wouldn't really say stress. There is a lot of nerves and a lot of anxieties that go into it, and I think that's normal. And I don't think that's just because of the situation I was put in. I think it comes with the position, and that comes with the sport. Obviously, football is a unique sport because you're working 12 hours or 12 months out of the year to play 12 games in the fall. So um, there's a lot of anxieties going into it to make sure you take advantage of all 12 opportunities you get in the fall. So that plays a part of it. And then at the end of the day, you're just trying to win. So I think that's kind of, I wouldn't say real stress. I would say more nerves. But at the end of the day, once you start playing, all the nerves, all the anxieties go away. And you're just playing the game that you played your entire life.
Is that how it feels like when you're on the field and when you're at games? Like the hype is just unreal. Especially when like something big happens, there's just fans screaming, everything's going off. Like, do you feel that way for yourself personally? Like you're kind of locked in the zone and you can put blinders on like that?
Yeah, I'm kind of a mellow person, and I don't really like to show too much emotion. I don't like to get too riled up. I'm kind of a guy that likes to stay calm, and at the end of the day, that kind of helps me because I know when in a game if I'm too high, then I need to settle down, or if I'm too low, then I need to pick it up a little bit. So I like to stay kind of in the 4 or 5 range in terms of energy, in terms of being too riled up. But at the end of the day, when there's some moments where you're playing in front of that 50,000 fans, and you make a good play where everybody's just cheering, and that's what you dream of as a little kid. So I would be lying if I said I was able to block out the noise all the time. There's moments, especially in this past game with the Alamo Bowl, there's moments where something happens and your emotions take over.
Absolutely. And I wonder if that's something that you've learned, or if maybe you have a gift of like, hey, I can put the distractions aside when I'm playing this game. Like, you got a job to do. Or I don't know what your thoughts are on that, if you've kind of gotten better throughout the season. But
Yeah, I think being able to just grow up the way I grew up, where my dad kind of emphasized to me being able to play for your teammates, play for your family, and of course play for God. So I always say I'm playing for an audience of one. And I love and I appreciate all the support that we get from Tucson and from all the fans, especially all the little kids that look up to us. So all of that stuff's great, but um, being able to just being able to play for God, that kind of helps you eliminate all the distractions and helps you play for the right reasons.
I love that. And I feel like a lot of people, even outside of football, might get caught up in the wrong things or maybe, taking all the credit themselves when I think that God does play a big role in our success. And I think we've been blessed with our talents and our abilities. So I really love that you give him the glory for that. And that was kind of something else that I'm wondering too, where, you've gotten a lot more attention as a team and as an individual up to this point. How have the distractions changed? Like maybe on and off the field, like do you feel like there's just a lot of people competing for your time and a lot of things that come up that maybe haven't, happened before?
I wouldn't say competing for my time. I think there's been a lot of supporters that have been supportive my entire life and have continued to just kind of reach out and, like I said, encourage. And so I appreciate all of that. But I think social media is a big distraction in today's day and age. And so especially during the season, I was able to stay off of social media for a little bit to get away from people talking about how good we are and how good we're doing. Just kind of focusing on what was important. The important thing this season was just to win one game at a time. So being able to get away from all the distractions on social media, and there were a lot from rankings and just reporters coming out, telling our story. All of that's great, and we do appreciate all of the people showcasing the story of this team. But at the end of the day, it's been about us, and we're just trying to focus and keep the main thing the main thing.
I feel like that's good advice, even if you're not playing football or playing at a high level. So you're no kidding during the season. You're staying off, and if people are talking about you or the team, you try to keep that to a minimum. You're not trying to let that distract you.
Yeah, I try to get away from social media as much as possible, so I can get away from all the good things and bad things that come with it. And then some of my family members like to send me articles and snippets. So I wouldn't say I'm able to avoid all of the praise completely, but I try to do my best to limit it.
It seems like you're doing a good job. I mean, I think it'd be really hard. Like you work so hard to get to this point, and to not let that consume you. Like maybe this is everything you've dreamed of, or maybe not everything, but you're getting there. And there's a lot more hype and attention. I think that'd be hard, and it's cool to see you, doing that and not getting so wrapped up in that. But kind of going along with that point too, I've heard you talk about living in the moment, and what you're saying is being where your feet are,
Yes.
right? I think I've heard you say that, and I really do like that. And I wanted to hear you, kind of the definition of that coming from you, of how you do that in your life and what that does mean to you.
Yeah, that's funny because that's kind of a saying that I learned that phrase in my freshman year in one of my theology classes. My teacher put it up and it just said, "Be where your feet are." And people, especially T Mac and Jacob Manu, they make fun of me all the time because I kind of apply it into every speech I give or every time I'm talking, especially to the team. That's kind of a saying that I bring up, but that's just it has multiple meanings. For me, it's just being present, being able to be in the moment, being able to enjoy every moment. And time flies, and whether you're in a great situation, living your dream, or if you're in a bad situation, being where your feet are helps you to be present, helps you to enjoy the time. And I have two examples from two different scenarios on both sides of the spectrum. When you talk about living your dream, playing at the Alamo Bowl, you're out there for a week. All the Arizona fans are out there. You're playing a top 15 matchup on national television. So you're living your dream. That's everything you wanted, everything you prayed for. So being in the moment, not looking forward, not looking back, just enjoying every opportunity you get, all of the media, all of the time you get to spend with your team, knowing that the season's coming to an end, being where your feet are helps in that phase. And then also when you look back to last year, my true freshman year, being the backup the entire year, it's easy to it's easy to look forward to when you're the guy and to where you're the starter and you're playing. But if my biggest regret is not being where my feet are there, enjoying the time I got to spend with Jaden, enjoying learning from him. So being where your feet are, it has multiple meanings. I think it can relate to every aspect of your life, and that's just kind of how I try to live.
Absolutely. And for me personally too, I know a lot of people, it's like we have goals and these dreams that we want to hit, and sometimes we're not happy with where we're at, and that goalpost always moves, right? Like I love what you're saying about that too. But I think that's just a huge thing to remember, like being present. Like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There's beauty in the struggle. There's beauty in like where we're at right now. So I appreciate you talking about that.
No, definitely.
But looking back from this season too, it's like I'm sure it wasn't all easy. I think what we see from online or on TV, that's not really a real representation of how the whole season was. Like, what are some ways that you think that you were able to grow and maybe form as a person, as a player? What are some ways that you did grow?
Yeah, there was a lot of downs this season, and it might not look that way because we had on paper we had a great year, but there's always room for improvement as a team and me especially. I think our team did a really good job being resilient this year. Every time a bad situation came up, we were able to continue to love each other, continue to play for each other, and I think that brought a lot of wins, a lot of success this year. But I mean, one thing that we didn't do well and we had to grow in was starting fast. And through the first 5 games of the season, we didn't do a good job starting the football game. Um, we lost 2 quarters in the first 4 games, all in the first quarter, which led to a loss at Mississippi State going down 14-0. We went down 14-0 to Washington at home. So we emphasized starting fast the next week, and we were able to do so against USC. We started the game 17-0 in the first, I think, 20 minutes of the game. And then after the USC game, then it was about starting fast but finishing faster. So There was a lot of learning experiences, a lot of learning curves for not just me, but for the team, and I think we did a really good job. The coaches did a great job emphasizing it and incorporating it into our practice and our preparation, and then I think the team did a good job being able to respond week in and week out.
I'd agree. Yeah, I love that. And coming from you too, so something I'm thinking is I've had a lot of people kind of going back to points that we were talking about earlier. A lot of people talking about imposter syndrome, maybe like insecurities and not being confident. And I think coming from you, maybe that could mean a lot to people listening. What kind of advice or things have you done that have helped you as you've stepped up in the role that you have this past season? What could help the average person that might not be playing football, but trying to find confidence or like meaning in their life? How can they improve that, you think?
Yeah, I've never heard of imposter syndrome, but I think my advice would be, and what's helped me throughout the last 2 years, because I've had ups and downs the last 2 years. Obviously, sitting on the bench and not playing for a year was tough, and then being able to win an Alamo Bowl is a high. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, but what's been able to keep me grounded is knowing my identity, and I'm a believer. I was born and raised a Christian. My dad and my grandfather and my whole family have been big idols for me to help me grow in my faith. So just knowing your identity, knowing that your identity is in Jesus Christ, knowing your purpose on this earth is to share the gospel. And for me, being able to know that my worth wasn't defined by my performance and by my play, knowing that my purpose on this earth wasn't to play football, that allows me to just play free, and that allows me to live my life in happiness. That allows me to find joy in everything that I'm doing, because I truly believe that you can't find infinite happiness with finite things. The only way to infinite joy is through an infinite being, which is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So that's just kind of how that's what's been able to help me stay committed when I was at a low, and that's what's helped me to be able to stay grounded when everything's going my way.
100%. Like, that was powerful right there. I hope you know how profound that was, because I hear this a lot from people like, oh, I feel like an imposter, or, my value comes from a job, a school, maybe I'm not doing so well in one of those two, something. But what you just said, I think that like hit the nail right on the head. And I believe that 100% too. At the end of the day, we do come from God, is my belief as well, and we have power in Him. And it's so cool seeing you talk about that, that's where strength can come from. It's really not about our things or what we can get in this life. It really is like about what we can do for others, serve, share the gospel, like you're saying. I think that's huge, 100%. And you're Polynesian too, and I know that's huge culturally, right? Like, what does that mean to you? I know, you're pretty passionate about it and proud of it, which is awesome. But what other things maybe do you prioritize, or what does that mean to you coming from that culture?
Yeah, the culture is everything to me, and I come from not just a Polynesian culture, but I'm also half Filipino. So I'm blessed. Both sides of my family are super connected, and I have great relationships with both sides. So it stems from my four grandparents. I'm blessed enough to have all four of them still alive and healthy, and they kind of raised all of us, not just their grandchildren, but also their children, um, to just be connected. And our family is such a big virtue for us. We prioritize that. Faith and family is what we prioritize above everything else. So, and I think that represents the Polynesian culture in a nutshell. So, just being supportive of each other, loving each other, making sacrifices. My family's made sacrifices for me that I can never repay, and whether that's coming to every single game for me last year, even though I wasn't playing, or just all the things they did for me at a young age to give me the opportunities I have today. So I'm first generation American. Both my parents were born in their indigenous countries. My grandfathers on both sides actually um, moved to the United States to give us a better life, and it's because of their sacrifices that I have the opportunities I have today.
Absolutely. I think I can tell you don't take that lightly either. I think you've definitely, taken advantage of those opportunities, and you've really done a lot of great things. So that is really cool to hear. And unfortunately, I think today that's not as popular, which is interesting, with faith. or with prioritizing family. It's kind of it's crazy how easy we can get caught up in stuff, and things of the world, which I believe right with you too that faith and family over everything. Like I really haven't felt more happy like other than the times that I'm with my family, or in like church or these like little moments. There's really nothing else that can compare to that, to be honest with you. I'm sure that you probably feel the same way about that.
I'm right there with you.
That is neat. Well, honestly, I know we wanted to keep this shorter, so I want to respect your time, but thank you so much. And I think all the people are going to be thanking you that can hear this and benefit from it. Really do appreciate you hopping on and being able to talk like this and kind of be vulnerable.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I appreciate, man. You do a great job in terms of preparation. We got me and Team. I got to do a better job in our podcast in terms of that. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate you having me on.
hey, anytime, man. And how can people find you too? Should they follow you on social media? You got your own podcast too. You can talk about that behind you, what that's about.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram's Tongan Pino, or you can just look up my name on Instagram. It'll pop up, and then go ahead and follow our Instagram for our podcast, which is Island Time Pod, and then you can kind of find out how to get to the podcast from there. But like I said, I appreciate your time and appreciate all the support.
Yes, sir. You got it. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And good luck with everything. We want to see the podcast take off a little more too. We love seeing that content. So,
I appreciate it.
all right, Noah. Yeah, well, you have a good one, brother.
You too. You have a good one.